Good morning, everybody. Extra tabs are indeed open, Jonesy. I've just seen your comment pop up there. Extra tabs are open. My microphone wasn't working. The software wasn't working. So I'll be completely honest. The fact that I'm only 2 minutes late this morning is pretty damn impressive. But good morning to all of you. How are you doing? We're kicking off another week here on United People's TV. Last week was an interesting one, let's be honest. And the chaos continued at home against Liverpool. I mean, it was nothing that wasn't unexpected, but just Gary Neville called it schoolboy defending. Roy Keane wasn't particularly happy at Ten Hag's positive response to it, but Manchester United against Liverpool in the last couple of weeks have knocked them out of the FA Cup and taken 2 points off this. Oh man, it's one of the greatest ever. Shut up, Jurgen Klopp. Shut up, man. Get out. Anyway, good morning. Is it a game that's going to be considered a classic and we look at how incredible Manchester... No, it wasn't in any way, shape or form. The first goal, the first shot on target was a goal and it was a shot from 40 bloody yards. It's just that this is Manchester United this season. And I've started to semi-embrace the chaos because I just know there's no real alternative. But look, I've got so many tabs open this morning. We are going to run through every single comment from Erik Ten Hag, from Roy Keane, to talk about Kobbie Mainoo, to talk about Bruno's goal, to talk about Man United, to talk about INEOS and Ratcliffe and everything else in between. All right? Let's go. It's going to be a busy show. I apologise for being a couple of minutes late. Who's here from the member gang? Let's have a look. We've got Sky Benjamin, AJ, we've got Matt Bird, Carl, you're there, we've got Daz, Ross, you're there as well, Paula, Vicky, good morning to both of you. We've got asking how the foot is. Thank you very much. The foot, ladies and gents, we are nearly fully weight bearing. I think I'm about like 50% of the way there. Ish. And I think after like another week or two, I should be all right. That's what it is. It's going to be about 9 weeks post-surgery, I think, where I should hopefully be able to walk without a boot on, but I don't quite know. We'll see. We'll see. Who's here on Facebook? Let's have a quick look. We've got Duncan, Tim. Good morning to both of you. We've got Olusanjo. We've got Brian. And we've got Kieran Moran. And one more. We've got Edward Jones. How you doing, everyone? Now, can we start the show by speaking about Manchester United against Liverpool, but maybe not the game you think we're going to be speaking about? Because Man United's under-18s, you know how excited I've been watching them this season. I've been speaking about them this season. I've still got my series plan with Academy Arena to speak about individuals from that under-18s team because I think quite a few of them really do deserve some spotlight. But they absolutely slapped Liverpool. I mean, how else do you describe a 9-1 win? It's a shame they didn't get double figures, let's be honest, right? Shame they didn't get double figures. But, and let's not complain about a 9-1 win. But the under-18s really are on fire. Ethan Wheatley getting a hat-trick. Gave the old boxing celebration because in the game that happened early this season, he got punched in the face. So that was 10 out of 10, right? There are so many individuals from that team who are very, very exciting. But it was just a really enjoyable game to watch. If you didn't get to watch it, I'm sure the highlights would exist somewhere. But big up to them. Also, the under 16s, if I'm correct, I think they beat Liverpool 5-1 at the weekend. And you're talking about some of them needing to go out on loan. The big issue, right? As good as I think the under-18 system is very good in England. I think there's enough competitive football, regular football for players of that age. But the issue is that the gap between under-18s and under-21s is bad in England. And the under-21 system is poor, and games get cancelled all the time. And that's why you see, I think Man United in January agreed some loan deals. Can't remember who it was for. Like 2 or 3 players where they would play for the under-21s and also play for another club, local club to Manchester, so at the same time, so they could try and get more minutes. And then you see some loan spells just don't work out. Look at Dan Gore, right? Dan Gore's gone on loan to Port Vale, got a massive injury. Which is a real shame, man. Because I spoke about Hannibal, and I was like, if I'm going to choose one that I think might have a future, I would probably, if I'm being completely honest, I would go for Dan Gore. Vicky saying, Sam, are you worried the under-18s will be seen as money on selling on? I'm not worried about it because I think with the people that we've got coming in, Omar Barada, Probably Jason Wilcox is probably a better person to say for this. But they're going to... The thing is having the right judgment on the players to sell. Because if you sell the right players and you keep the right players to come through, a bit like, Alejandro Garnacho and Kobe Mainu, or whether that's Harry and Mass, who was on the bench for the first time there, or whether it's Ethan Wheatley or Ashton Missing, or you got Jace Fitzgerald, or you got Shea Lacey, or you got Ibrahimov, if we want to go further. There are a lot of players. It's knowing the right ones to sell and knowing the right ones to keep. And that's going to be down to the likes of Jason Wilcox, Dan Ashworth, I suppose of, I can't remember his name. Can't remember the under-18s coach name now. Forgotten. Anyway, they spanked them 9-1. So that definitely deserves to be spoken about at the start of the show. Big up to them. It's very exciting, our academy, going forward. Really, really is. Well, let's speak about the first team now, all right? Simon, thank you very much, dude. Kicking off the week, gifting 5 memberships. Big up to you. The gongs still work. Can we just take a little moment here? I know this is me jinxing it. People are going to be like, oh, Sam, you jinxed it. You did a little short video this week saying that Man United hadn't lost against Chelsea in 7 years and we lost against Chelsea. But look, the software's been working really nicely for quite a while now. So fingers crossed this continues. And excitingly, I have been really working on the new stuff for the summer. If I can say so myself, the way this is shaping up is United People's TV. I want to get us as close to being like a Sky Sports level of quality, but just for Manchester United. It won't quite be the level of like TV broadcast yet. But if last year was where we had the whiteboard in the background there, this year is going to be the brand new digital version of that. And maybe the next summer we can get to that top tier of like a real TV production. We're actually getting a producer in, but this is going to be a good one. You'll like the upgrade. I apologise about the Discords right now. Alex, you messaged me and I didn't even respond. I'm sorry, dude. I've been not avoiding the arms, but I've just been a bit busy. I'm sorry for the community. Sorry about that. Please let me off. Please let me off. Got Jorge saying, long time viewer, first time watching the live in Belize. It's 3:12 a.m. Big up to you, dude. But look, let's talk about that game yesterday because it was kind of exactly what you thought it was going to be. And Erik Ten Hag spoke about it after the game. He said he's got mixed emotions. Banging tune, by the way, chasing status. Whoop, whoop. Anyway, don't know why I just did that. I wish I hadn't done whoop, whoop. Anyway, mixed emotions from that game. First half, 0 shots. Pumped. Absolutely pumped. And it could have and probably should have been 2, if not 3 goals. Second half, 2 absolutely wonderful moments, which I'll speak about. And then, of course, the penalty at the end. But you know what I want to speak about? You know what I want to start with here? A little bit of this. Jurgen, mate. Jurgen. You doing all right, mate? Hello. And in isolation, if I just look at that game yesterday, not if I look at that game yesterday, if I look at the result yesterday, if I look at the 2 results against Liverpool that we've had in the last few weeks, all right? A bit like when I went to Anfield first time this season, first time I've actually been to Anfield because I got a ticket. I went there expecting United to get steamed, absolutely steamed, right? And we put in one of the best defensive organisational performances that we've beat. Liverpool had 31 shots. They hardly had a real... They didn't test Onana hardly in that game. As many shots as they had, it was pop shots outside the box. And I expected us to get pumped. And then against Liverpool in the FA Cup, everybody expected us to get steamrolled out of the competition. Not a chance in hell. And you go there, and it was an FA Cup classic. Chaos, pure chaos, unadulterated chaos. But Man United came out on the right side of chaos that time. And you look at that game there yesterday. Nobody gave United a chance. Predictions down there in the comments: 5-1, 4-1, 3-1. Are we going to get steam? Are we going to get pumped? Oh, we're going to get destroyed. And Liverpool haven't beaten us in 3 games this season. I'm not sure Jurgen Klopp's actually beaten Ten Hag at Old Trafford. Let's not speak about what happened at Anfield. Separate. But Jurgen Klopp, to be fair, he took that quite well. Getting goaded by the Stretford end. That was quite funny. But he was proper cracking up on that sideline. He really, really was. And I hope he's saying there about Arsenal being Arsenal win that game. I'm 100% sure of that. You know what I really want to see? Right? I really want to see Man United playing the under-18s against Arsenal. It's for so many seasons I said this in the, what did I say this? I might have said this after the Liverpool game, actually. I can't remember. What has made United's downfall worse has been the fact that we've had to watch Liverpool and City go in the opposite direction. We've had to watch them go upwards. And that's what's made it worse. So to see, at the very least, right? By the way, this is also funny. I'll run through that in a sec. But to see at the very least, Man United doing what they can to stop Liverpool. And people are like, it's not like we're celebrating United drawing against Liverpool and throwing 2 points away and again getting dominated for large portions of the game. But there are just, and this is just how the internet works, right? You're not allowed to celebrate any sort of anything because the standards are falling. The standards are dropping. Oh, Roy Keane would never have said, this would never have happened under Fergie. The standards are through the floor. Like, I'm guessing you don't work on milestones in life then, mate. If you're at point A and you want to get to point B, you're not allowed to even mention any hint of positivity of anything in between that because standards. Mate, that game there yesterday was largely exactly how I thought it was going to be. But we still come away with a point. And we should have come away with 3 points. And you know what, right? I forgot to get a photo of this up. Let me quickly get this here, right? Because I think I might have to give a little apology here in the comments in a second. I'll explain why. Where is it? Right, let me pull this up. Because after the Diogo Dalot penalty against Chelsea, we kind of got into a bit of an argument here, didn't we? And I was convinced that it was a penalty. And I was confused that I think I said you're cracking up if you think that wasn't a penalty. And then I look at this penalty here against Harvey Elliott, right? And my immediate reaction to this penalty was pretty similar to my reaction to the Dalot penalty. And I was like, well, it's definitely a penalty. And you know what I think it is, right? I think my perspective on what a penalty is and what a penalty isn't has really been changed by what's happened with VAR over the last couple of years. Because I now, previously you'd look for contact when it comes to penalties, right? And that was kind of what defined what was and what wasn't a penalty. Whereas I look at it, I don't look at it now. I think I almost look at it from a VAR perspective. And I think, well, because Wan-Bissaka's leg, even though Elliott doesn't go down because of contact from Wan-Bissaka on his front leg with the ball. He's already going down by the point that his leg hits Wan-Bissaka on the ground. Is it a dive? I wouldn't say it's a dive. I'd say more it's a exaggerated contact. It's like contact that he's going for. You know, when you drag your foot through, you drag your leg through. I think it's one of those. I probably think it's still a penalty, but it's like Mike. You put it in the comments there, going, it's one of those that if it wasn't given against United, you'd be fuming. And I think I just realised that this morning, that maybe my perspective on what a penalty is and isn't has kind of really been changed by what VAR is. And maybe that's part of the reason why I was just so convinced that the Delo one was a penalty. And it's, I don't know. It's such a killer, man. In the space of 7 days, right? Like, I know. Okay? One sec. The football that we have been playing has been garbage. Paula, you just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Paula. I know that we have been awful, really, for about 70%, probably more than 75%. The whole of the Brentford game, the majority, well, quite a lot of the Chelsea game as well, obviously apart from the moments, and plenty of those were the goals, and a large portion of that game against Liverpool. But we were winning in the 97th minute against Brentford and we conceded an equaliser. We were winning in the 99th minute against Chelsea and conceded 2 goals, probably even later than that, 2 goals to go from a 3-2 to a 3-2 win to a 4-3 defeat. And there against Liverpool, with 20 minutes to go at Old Trafford with 11 men, we concede a penalty. And we throw away 2 points. Like, if you're going to go to ground in the box like that, and let's be honest, out of anybody in that squad, who are you going to back to make that slide tackle? You back Wan-Bissaka, right? He backs himself. That is his greatest asset, is the timing of his slide tackles. And he got it wrong in the box, and we give a penalty. But it's just frustrating, isn't it? Like, as bad as we have been, to drop 7 points from 2 winning positions in injury time, and with 20 minutes to go against Liverpool at Old Trafford, when all you need is a bit of game. I say all you need. It wouldn't be an easy 20 minutes, but a good team should be able to see that out. And a good team we are not. And Erik Ten Hag spoke about it after the game in terms of his reaction. And this is what Erik said.
Well, Erik, do you have mixed emotions after that?
Oh, you were in the dressing room. I said this exactly. Very mixed emotions. One side, I'm very disappointed that you drop 7 points in 1 week when you are in winning positions, and we have to blame ourselves. We're making stupid mistakes. On the other side, I'm very proud. You see how we're improving, and the potential from this squad and this team is amazing.
I'm not sure I can agree with Erik Ten Hag on what he said there about where you can see this United team improving, right? And that was something that Roy Keane jumped in. And he was like, not sure about that there, mate. Because that was a game, again, where United were dominated. A game, again, where Man United had no midfield, right? But despite all this chaos, and we can speak about the tactics, and we can speak about the flaws in this team, and we can speak about the fact that there isn't really an identity, and lots and lots of questions to ask around those comments there from Erik Ten Hag, right? This team should not have thrown away 7 points this week, all right? In my opinion, those points there are not to do with a tactical approach. Ten Hag. That's, look, I think out of the 3 games, the Liverpool one was because Erik Ten Hag decided to take Garnacho off, who, by the way, people are really having to go at him for taking Garnacho off. That dude has started how many games? I don't know how he must be knackered. I think probably the issue that people had was the fact that he took Garnacho off and put Amrabat on rather than maybe Ahmad. Was it Garnacho for Anthony? I don't think it was Garnacho. I think Anthony came on earlier. And then Man United tried to sit in and obviously it didn't work. But these players should not have dropped 7 points this week. And that, for me, the majority of that is on the players, right? And this isn't me making Ten Hag devoid of any criticism. He can be criticised, and I've criticised him, and we will continue to criticise. But in those moments when you scored a 97th minute goal against Brentford and you've got 2 minutes to go, it has absolutely nothing to do with the manager. Lads, you've got 2 minutes to see the game out. Just see the game out. See the game. You haven't got to do anything. Just see the game out. Don't look at the manager and go, what? What's our formation, Erik? What are we doing? No, fuck that. Just see the game out. That's all you got to do. Didn't do that. 99th minute against Chelsea. You're 3-2 up. See the game out. All you got to do here is see the game out. And you don't. You go and give away a penalty, and then your heads drop, and then nobody marks Cole Palmer on the corner. But that's got nothing to do. Both of those situations, in my opinion, have nothing to do with the manager. That's just up there. United just can't focus. It's like a kid who's got really short attention span. Just watching something. I was just watching something over there, and all of a sudden they're doing that. Oh, what do you mean they've scored? That's not to do with the manager. I think that game against Liverpool, there's far more criticism you could throw it towards Erik Ten Hag for that game. Now, Gary Neville wasn't particularly happy. And let's be honest, can understand why. Right? You looked at that Man United midfield. And this, Erik, I've said this in quite a few games, right? I've said it quite a lot, for just more than that, actually. Erik Ten Hag is not a dumbass, right? You might disagree with how he's approaching this team, but he's doing this on purpose. He's not looking at this team and not seeing where the problems are. It's just that Erik Ten Hag isn't seeing them as problems in the same way that we are. He's happy to leave that space. He's happy to work in the moments. And I tell you what, the moments worked yesterday. Man, we've had some moments this season. We really, really have. And Erik was speaking about, there's an interview that he gave with Sky Sports before the game, and he's very, maybe defiant is the wrong word for me to use in the title. But Erik, I think I've kind of defiant is exactly what he is, really. Erik Ten Hag is completely confident that he will be Manchester United manager next season. He has no doubts that he will be at United next season. His words, not mine. And we spoke about, there was a video I did on Friday that was me running through Laurie Whitwell's article from The Athletic on Erik Ten Hag's future. And in that, what's it there? Move that out of the way. In that video, there was a really important line, because I think a reason why I lost a fair bit of faith after that Chelsea game was because I think in my head, I had put the Champions League down and the importance of getting into the Champions League as a massive defining point as to whether or not Erik Ten Hag will be United manager next season. Now, Laurie Whitwell on The Athletic are suggesting that it's not as important as you think it is, or was. Yeah, it kind of still is. Probably won't get there. And it's more to do with performances and results. Performance-wise and results-wise, there's loads of questions everywhere. But it depends how much... I'll be honest, it kind of feels now like it depends how much Ratcliffe, Brailsford, and of course Barada and Ashworth when they come in, how much they actually trust Erik Ten Hag. Because before the game, he was like, I don't understand why people don't know how we want to play. We want to be proactive. We want to play out from the back. We want to be on the front foot. We want to be aggressive. And we want to be quite a lot of these things that we just haven't been this season. Quite a few things that we saw in moments in games last year and in periods, especially between January and February, but that we've not really seen this season. And maybe Erik Ten Hag is just saying to Ratcliffe and Brailsford, and they're saying, look, I know that the football this season is chaos. I know that the football this season is not what you expect to be, but I've shown, and we have shown in moments in games like the Liverpool one, like other ones, and there are other games you can pull out. There's other bad ones as well, like Brentford and Newcastle and that moment against Chelsea. maybe Ratcliffe and Brailsford believe Erik ten Hag. I don't know. But Ten Hag has certainly got confidence. It's not, Jason, look, man, it's not just about, you can't just say believe in the process, all right? Just in the same way I can't just say believe in Erik ten Hag. And just in the same way I don't think anybody can say, oh, sack Erik ten Hag and that'll get rid of the problems. I think just these extreme one end of, as I said, it's far more nuanced than like that. It deserves constant conversation, I think. Someone down there, Harry, well, you missed a memo. Last week you were complaining about how people were wasting time and energy discussing whether or not it was a penalty. It's almost like I said, I think I literally have to apologise, and I explain myself, Harry. So thank you very much for listening to the show before leaving a comment. I think my opinion on penalties have kind of changed somewhat. I'm going to read some of your comments out here on Erik ten Hag, see what you think. Stephen, you're saying Jim can't be happy watching United at the Mo. What is Erik giving and what positives are on show that says he deserves more time? Right now, in terms of how we're playing, not really. But in terms of moments, man, there are tons of moments. Whether it's maybe not tons of moments. That might be a little bit extreme. But there are certainly moments. If you point towards last season when we had everybody, our injuries, like, people don't want to speak about it because I think I sort of unfairly compared, say, well, Liverpool and Klopp have managed to deal with injuries a lot better this season. But then I think probably the better comparison would be how Postecoglou has dealt with injuries this season at Spurs, yet still have managed to continue what they're doing. I just think Man United's squad building is at the core of that. Somehow it must be that Spurs had somehow done better squad building over the last couple of seasons, so they're actually building towards a specific style. I don't know. Injuries have played a massive role. Whether you want to talk about that or not, I don't think anybody really wants to speak about it that much longer. Gary Neville really went in on him, but look, you know what I want to do here? There are some positives to pull out from that game yesterday. The fact that we've had a conversation here for 20, 30 minutes means that we're not just ignoring all these problems, all right? We're having conversations about them. But there are moments that we can enjoy from that game yesterday. And there absolutely was. Like, I kind of feel sorry. I think I said in my match reaction, I felt sorry for Bruno Fernandes scoring from like 45 yards against Liverpool in the Premier League at Old Trafford. Should be the conversation point. It should be the goal of the match, but it's not. That goal from Kobbie Mainoo was just... I mean, it was everything, man. It was Kobbie Mainoo. Calm, composed, just a ridiculous finish. Started at 5 out. I've seen quite a lot of people speaking about Makeda's goal against Villa. You know, Makeda touched it back inside, just curled it on the outside. That goal there was so important. I think we won the lead that year, and I think that was a game that we had to win, if I remember correctly. But just the finesse of that finish, I think, is what I would say about Kobbie Mainoo. You see the... Look at Garnacho's face here. Just cracked me up. It really did crack me up. Tom, you legend, gifting 5 memberships. That must be for Mainoo. And look, and Kobbie Mainoo's celebration as well. It's just like... all in a day's work for Kobbie. And that's how he plays football. That really is how he plays football. Tyler down there coming in just like trying to piss on my bonfire. Sam, how can we enjoy those goals when we didn't come away with 3 points? Somebody help Tyler down there. All right. Somebody help Tyler. Because I can't be bothered to explain that if you don't understand that. But what a goal that was for Kobbie. And it's a real shame. Yes, it is a real shame that we didn't come away with 3 points. But it does not mean that I will not be excited by what I saw. And it's just that as bad as we are right now, and we are, it's crazy. It's hard not to be excited about the future where we've actually got Whether this is under Erik ten Hag, whether this is under a different manager, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Erik ten Hag has confidence there about being here next season, and maybe he will be. But I tell you what, these two players and the development of these two players deserves a lot of credit for those two. And people are going to be like, oh, they were already there, he didn't do anything. No, he's very much managed the beginnings of both of their careers. Whether it's Garnacho and kicking him out, not kicking him out, but not playing him in the pre-season tour because he was late to training and teaching him discipline straight away, to helping manage game time, to taking him off in certain games, and then look at him now, flourishing, shining, and one of our absolute main men. And then Kobbie Mainoo coming through, who was on the pre-season tour, and he would have been starting early this season. But look at him now. How many games has Kobbie Mainoo started now this season for Manchester United in the league? I don't know. But it's exciting to think about what United could be going forward when we build a genuine team. Because we're not a team right now. We're not playing like a team. We haven't been for some time. And of course, there are a ton of injuries and there are a ton of mitigating factors, but also at the same time, the approach. Like yesterday, Gary Neville pointed out in the commentary, and I think it was very correct. Like Kobbie Mainoo was kind of on like a man marking role with McAllister chasing him around the pitch. And you're thinking, well, you're supposed to be one of the two midfielders who kind of sits there behind Bruno Fernandes and allows Bruno to do that roaming role. But it kind of Mainoo was on a bit of a roaming role as well. So you had Bruno, who will always be on a roaming role. And then you had Mainoo, who was roaming everywhere. And then you got Casemiro. I take no pleasure in having a go at Casemiro in the way I do, but mate, it is painful watching him. It is so painful watching him. It really is. Gungshi, yeah, man. Gungshi and Stu. The greatest combination since Garnacho and Mainoo. That kind of rhymed. Big up to you two.
I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell.
I'm updating those. I know. I promise you I'm updating them. I'm speaking with Joe. Big up to Joe for helping me with these. But I've just been working on other things. I have. As I said, like Bruno, yesterday, peak Bruno performance. Well, no, not peak Bruno performance, but maybe this season. So many people frustrated with Bruno, with the passes that he was making, with how kind of a lot of the attacks that if he maybe had taken an extra touch or two, that he probably could have got a better pass, but he went a little bit too quick, a little bit too eager, and it kind of killed the attacks. Okay, we take him off the pitch. No, you do not take Bruno off the pitch because then he pops moments like that out. I will defend Bruno against anybody, man. Anybody. And in my opinion, you have to build a midfield around the strengths and capabilities of Mainoo and Bruno. Get Mainoo, and if you're going to have Mainoo in a roaming role, then you need someone behind him who is an absolute athlete, who out of possession is ridiculous, because that's Man United's biggest weakness in midfield. Out of possession when we're defending. That's when Mainoo and Bruno, but sometimes they get caught further up the pitch. I think Mainoo was on the edge of the Liverpool box, tried to dink it over someone. They ran straight through because Casemiro cannot cover that ground. And it's just like, I've spoken so often this season, right, about this man. And people don't like to hear it. You know, in the same way that I spoke about Ronaldo for quite a while before the penny dropped with a lot of... I suppose the penny didn't always drop with every single United fan. Man, the penny for me has dropped on Casemiro. It's not when he came back in and he'd had injuries. I think it was 2 injuries he'd had, 2 separate injuries. He came back from both. You're thinking, it'll just take him a couple of games to brush the dust off. It'll take him a couple of games to come back. No. It's just a reality that the pace of the Premier League is only getting more intense every single season. Every season, it goes up a couple of notches. It's quicker, it's faster, it's more intense than it even was last season. And Casemiro, from an athletic perspective, his skill set is not count. It's not up for it. And adding the fact that Erik ten Hag is playing an expansive system, whereas midfielders are roaming everywhere, and he's kind of got to cover so much ground on his own. Put those two things together, a recipe for disaster. And it just won't work. And also at the same time, that goal from Kobbie Mainoo yesterday, man, you can't play him as a number 6. You just can't. He's too good. He's got way too much to his game. So you need somebody behind him. And that's why that midfield target now, I think it feels like of all the signings we need to make this summer, that's the most obvious one. Well, you could probably say that about the centre-backs as well, but all we need to do, it's easy said than done, but we need to sign a midfielder that complements the qualities of Mainoo and the qualities of Bruno and covers any weaknesses of both. And therefore, that midfielder, it's not about signing. If we sign Frenkie de Jong, I don't think it would complete this midfield now. Because the breakthrough of Kobbie has kind of changed that a little bit. It has to be, I really do think, I don't know whether it's going to be him or not, but Onana really is, you kind of point towards him and go, he's actually got technical qualities too, but just an out-of-possession monster is what we need. Somebody who we can absolutely just rely on. Like, no matter how aggressive and progressive we're trying to be going forward, if we lose possession and we hit on the transition, he's like, yeah, good luck getting past him. And I'm not saying that that's the most important signing. I'm saying that that one is kind of the simplest on paper for me. Whether it comes to, we know about the defence, of course, it needs to play the higher line, and we speak about Branthwaite and Todibo, and boy, have we got loads of transfer content here. Can I just say, if you haven't subscribed to United People's TV, please do. The amount of new content that's going to come on this channel, it's going to be the best, in my opinion. It'll be the best there is when it comes to United transfers this summer. Going to be doing in-depth stuff, top-level stuff. You'll learn about the players that we're linked with. You'll learn why we're linked with them. We're going to be covering tactical stuff, interviews, the works. Going to really try and level transfer content up this summer. People speaking about Paulinho in the comments. It's a real shame, man. I loved Casemiro last season, but I have not seen a drop-off like that from a player in one season as big as that. Now, there's somebody I want to speak about in the complete opposite sense when it comes to players dropping off, is players coming through. Maddie, I'm doing the whiteboard, but the whiteboard will be way, way better. You'll see. You will see. Round of applause here for Willy Kambwala, right? In a game where it was Van Dijk, it was Kwanzaa, it was Maguire, who I actually thought played well as well. For me, it was Willy Kambwala who was man of the match. I've actually got, I think there's a couple of super chats here. Let me read these out before I move on. I don't want to miss these. Alex is saying Casemiro surely must be injured. This can't continue. I don't think he is, dude. I don't think he is. It's just that Casemiro's really just dropped off. Ian, you're saying, Sam, Spurs can continue because they had the right structure and transfer profile before Ange got there. And that was, I didn't articulate that properly, Ian. But I think that's probably what I meant. Even though Spurs have been, let's be honest, over the last few years, they were always kind of signing a similar style of player the whole way through. So when they had the right manager who came in and went, then it all kind of fell into place. And the profiles are all quite similar and they could all play a similar style of football. As United, we hardly have any athletes, which is a weird thing to say about Premier League footballers. And especially how we're playing this season. Okay, I'll retract that a little bit. Because we do have some athletes. But the squad is not completely... The starting 11 is capable of playing what Ten Hag wants. When you go lower than that, big problems. And it has been the whole way through, really, for Erik Ten Hag. Apney saying, talking about other things, are we underestimating Ten Hag's influence on our under-18s since he arrived? Is that one of the few things that's given him so much confidence? I spoke about that in the Academy restructure video. Adam Lawrence. That's the name of the under-18s manager. Just came to me now. Adam Lawrence deserves a ton of credit. And I think it would be unfair to just try and say, oh, yeah, well, under-18s are doing it well. Erik Ten Hag, he's the reason for that. Erik Ten Hag has definitely influenced it. If you watch the under-18s and how they play, they press really high. They're intense. You look at them and you go, that's how I would love United to play. The under-18s are playing kind of a really high-level version of what we'd love to see from Erik Ten Hag. So there's definitely influence going through the younger teams for sure. But Adam Lawrence, from a coaching perspective, is doing a ton of the work there. But I think on a top level, influence in terms of an overall style, this is what we're going to be working towards. I do think there's some influence there. But Willy Kambwala, right? I'm going to read some of your comments down on him in a second. It was such a big game for him. It wasn't, I think I tweeted yesterday, I got it wrong. It wasn't his first Premier League start for United because that was West Ham away. But it was his first Premier League start for Manchester United at Old Trafford. And it was against Liverpool. A title-chasing Liverpool, right? Stephen, I don't want you to, these are Solskjaer's under-18s. Bullshit, giving Erik credit for these. What are you going on about, dude? I'm not talking about the players that we've got at the club. I'm talking about the recruitment. Jeez, man. Give over. I don't know why I answer some of these comments so much. Some people get so angry in the comments and stuff I say. Seriously, dude. Go and have a cup of tea. All right? I'm going to ignore some of them comments now. Anyway. This is what happens when you properly try and engage and interact. Some comments really get me. Anyway, Willy Kambwala. Kambwala would have broken through into this first team environment a fair amount sooner. Had it not been, bear in mind that he's only 18 now, right? Was he 19? I think, is he 18 or 19? I think he might be 19 now, actually. 19. Only broken through this season, but he has missed 12 to 18 months with serious injuries. And to play like that against Liverpool was so impressive. Against a really dynamic and kind of hard to defend against Liverpool team. So much movement between Núñez and Diaz and Salah. Yet he did so well. And something that I really enjoyed by watching Kambwala yesterday is his recovery pace. Didn't actually realise he was as fast as he was. And that's been a big problem with Manchester United's centre-backs. Something I really did enjoy watching yesterday was how aggressive Maguire and Kambwala both were. Because if you look at, it's the opposite sort of defender to what Lindelof is. Lindelof's a very regressive defender. Regressive? No, that's the wrong way. He's not proactive. He'd rather kind of stay. He'd rather go back, track the space, rather than putting a foot in. Whereas Kambwala, by being so aggressive, by being on the front foot, and it working, it allows you to bring that. That's how you squeeze the team up the pitch. With having proactive, aggressive defenders. But the reason that it worked with him was because he had that pace to cover. I think 2 times he got caught up the pitch. And both times he bolted back. I'm not sure if you saw it as well. He was there G'ing the crowd up. Instead of just kind of like, all you got to do, right? All you got to do, Willy. Big Willy, whoop. All you got to do is just focus on your own game. Keep your nut down. Don't look at anyone else. Don't get overawed by the occasion. Just focus on yourself and your game. Instead of that, he was making a tackle, turning to the crowd, and just G'ing it up. He was loving the atmosphere, rather than it being something that might intimidate some players. And that's a big plus of what I saw from Kambwala yesterday. And you know what? It's not a big plus, but I suppose technically it's a big plus for Woody keeping his nuts down. Come on, 10 out of 10 for me. I didn't even mean that one. A round of applause there. Well done, Sam. Innuendo central there. Anyway, Erik Ten Hag has said that Johnny Evans and Varane are not going to be back anytime soon. So we've got Bournemouth at the weekend. And then I think we've got, is it Sheffield United? And then we've got Coventry in the FA Cup semi. I think so. I think that's right. Erik Ten Hag spoke about him yesterday. And he said that Kambwala earned his opportunity. And he did. And he has. And whether it's... and I'll be honest, I think in pretty much every appearance so far, I've come away watching Kambwala, I'm like, he's played quite well. I mean, you can't ever expect any, especially from defenders, I think. With attackers, they can always like take the limelight and get the goals straight away and take the headlines. But with defenders like that, I've just really impressed. I think West Ham. What other games did he play? He came on. Did he come on towards the end in the FA Cup as well? People are talking in the comments down there about Kambwala and Martinez as a partnership. I mean, that would be one aggressive partnership. And I don't think... Well, I'm not sure that would work sustainably. It'll be fun to watch. Be definitely fun to watch. But I'm not sure in the long term that's going to be a partnership that Manchester United build on. But this is what I'm speaking about here, right? I'm not saying this in reaction to that game yesterday, right? I'm saying this... I've been saying this for a while now. I think Manchester United this season, right? I think Lindelof should be leaving. I think he should be getting sold. I think Varane should be leaving. I've said that for a while now. People have been having a go at me. There's no way in hell that you give Varane a contract worth north of 300 grand a week. And nor do I think Varane will take a pay cut down to the point where he could be, let's be honest, the third or fourth choice centre-back, given the fact that we should and could and should be signing 2 top-level centre-backs this summer. Whether it's Branthwaite, Todibo, or whoever it is, we need 2 top-level centre-backs. And I think if you sell Maguire and get good money for him, because he's a good defender, it's just a personal preference here. I think Manchester United should be keeping Evans for 1 more year as like a 4th choice centre-back. Thereabouts. Maybe 5th. I don't know. 4th choice centre-back. Letting Maguire leave, because the wages don't warrant Varane anymore, and I don't think he'll take their pay cut. Sell Lindelof and sell Varane. Sell Maguire, and then bring in 2 powerful top-level centre-backs. And then maybe you can get, what's his name? Is it Aradibioyo from Fulham, who's going to be on a free transfer? I think, if I'm correct, he was captain of City's under-18s team when Jason Wilcox was the academy manager there. I think that's correct. So you could, in theory, let me read that name out. Adara Bioyo. I think I've got that right. Call him Tosin. Right, it's much easier. Right. So you could, in theory, I mean, this is the sort of stuff you do in Football Manager, right? And he goes, well, it makes perfect sense. Why don't you do it in real life? Real life's a lot more difficult, always is. But you could, in theory, get Varane, Maguire, and Lindelof leaving and signing 2 powerful centre-backs and getting Tosin on a free, and then you got Kambwala through. And then you'd have 2 really good top-level prospects for both left and right-sided centre-back. And then as a 5th choice, you'd have Johnny Evans, who's there just to be there when he needs to be, which is what he should have been this season. It's possible. But Kambwala has shown in the performances that he has had this season that he can and should be considered an option for next season. Well done to him. And this is just what happens sometimes. Rashford's a perfect example of it. Martial gets injured against Midtjylland. Rashford comes through, bang, 2 against Midtjylland. Next game, which is it's still one of my favourite games that I've been to at Old Trafford just at Old Trafford, was when we beat Arsenal. That was when they were chasing the title. And Rashford scored 2, just after he scored 2 against Midtjylland. People keep saying about Evans retiring. Dude, do you really think Johnny Evans is going to retire if Manchester United give him an option for 1 more year? You really think he'll do that? Because I don't. I think he'll stay for 1 more year. And Kambwala, man of the match for me yesterday, deserves all the plaudits that he got. And somebody else, right? Somebody else who I've been a big supporter of Onana since day 1. And I've had to defend him against some fierce criticism. Some seriously fierce criticism. And warranted, by the way. Because in the Champions League, basically threw the ball into his net like 3 times. Onana, in the league, I would say, certainly better after the returning from AFCON. But even before that, in the league, I think he's been pretty good. Yesterday, again, Onana was really important to us. It wasn't just a save. You know, there was a point in the game where, I can't remember who was on the ball, It might have been Maguire. It may have been. And I knew that Delo was further up the pitch. And then you just see Onana you see Maguire, passing out to the right-hand side. He can't see anyone there. I'm like, who is he passing to? And then just Onana's like 30 yards out of his goal with the ball. I'm like, what are you doing there? And then dinked a lovely ball, nearly worked perfectly just over the top. That's kind of more of what I expected from Onana this season. And there was a bit where he did a little Cruyff turn on Núñez. Now we're starting to see... Confidence is so important. Confidence and momentum are two things that make footballers footballers. Natural talent is important. Hard work and ethic is important. Yes, but momentum and confidence, was it Gakpo or whoever it was, doesn't really matter, are so important. And I think what you're seeing now is a player who looks like he's got confidence in himself. Because after the Galatasaray or the Copenhagen games in the Champions League, you would never have seen Onana on that position of the pitch. Onana this season, and I've been speaking about this, right? He came from an Inter Milan team, an Italian team. Defending is their currency. He's gone from playing in that team and environment to a Manchester United team which is conceding 450 shots a game. He's made more shots than any goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. And when we have a team, Erik ten Hag keeps going. Will Erik ten Hag get this team playing the possession-based football next season? Not just possession-based football, but playing out from the back with confidence, with patterns that we expected of us this season. A bit like how we played, I suppose, at Wolves away early this season when it was Casemiro back and we had Martinez back and we played great. First half should have won 4-0. That's the environment that Onana is going to really thrive in. When he can be that confident playmaking goalkeeper. He's not been signed as a shot stopper. I mean, look, of course he has as a goalkeeper. That's your job. But there's more to Onana than what we saw early this season. I knew that. He didn't turn into a crap goalkeeper overnight. He won our Player of the Month. Well done to Onana. All right. Henrik saying, imagine Onana playing under De Zerbi. Well, that would work. Let me see what you're saying on Facebook. Let's read some comments here. You were doing a list of what makes a United team a week or so back. Resilience is important. Onana has been resilient after all the criticism, says Dan Roberts. Really good comment there. And that's something that Maguire deserves a lot of credit for this season as well. I've said it a million times. I've criticised him probably more than any player. Like title videos more about Maguire than any player. But he's really come through it. I like that bit yesterday where he was just like getting physical with Luis Diaz in the corner. And he's just like pushing him away. He's like, he's like, I think he called him a shithouse. Quite enjoyed that bit. But if Onana can be as good as he is now, in a team which is conceding how many shots a game, it would be nice to see Onana playing in a team with a stable back four, with some stable midfielders in front of him that don't just concede so many goals a game. And therefore, Onana can focus on the actual stuff that makes him a good modern goalkeeper. I'm telling you, if you get Ederson or Addison facing as many shots as they are facing, their games would be different. They would retract in towards their goal because they know they're going to be so busy every game. They wouldn't be able to think about being those playmaker goalkeepers that they are. Looking forward to seeing that. But look, quick final note here, right? Of course.
By a goal from a corner for Liverpool, and there's the man that Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford need to be talking about
not Sam Allardyce. Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford at Old Trafford yesterday. Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford were at Stamford Bridge earlier this week. And in both of those games, they have seen magical moments from United. Whether it's the equaliser was just a great goal from Garnacho away at Chelsea. Then the goal from the second goal was a really nice build-up goal from Onana out from the back. and a lovely goal by Bruno. And the third one, an incredible pass from Anthony. And, of course, the collapse at the end. But he saw great moments there. And against Liverpool, great moments. Bruno and Mainoo's goals, both incredible. We scored some banging goals this week. We really, really have. And there's also been some woeful football. A serious lack of team play. I'll be really interested to... I'd love to be on a fly on the wall about how Brailsford and Ratcliffe are really looking at this United team this season. Because if you want to focus on the positives and the moments, there are positives and moments to take, but they are kind of lost in between sort of a maelstrom of mediocrity, I suppose. A lack of real, tangible, sustainable progress. And for a lot of fans, that's the focus point. And I think kind of understandably so. But INEOS are just continuing to do what they have been doing the whole way through. This has been going on for some time now. The whole audit of our football club, right? And they're really auditing the accounts now. Last week, we heard that the credit cards were getting cut for senior figures at Manchester United. And now, apparently, private cars are getting cut as well. This is just... Call this marginal gains if you want. This is just going to be removing a little cost here, a little cost there, a little cost there, a little cost there. And what you're probably going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks, I would imagine, is going to be reports coming out about job cuts at Manchester United. It's not Brailsford and Ratcliffe. Glazers V2 and anything that people try to scream. They are trying to make the top lines of Manchester United far more sustainable and profitable. Two ways of doing that. One, bring more money in. Number two, spend less money. If you can do both at the same time, your balance sheet works. Business 101. Look at that. It's so easy to run a business. But United haven't done that. They've just spent. It goes, what do you mean we're spending on a credit card? I don't care, I'm going to spend more. INEOS are not doing that. And these changes are just like long overdue. And there's going to be more of them. Boring as it is, it's these... What you're seeing here are the foundations being laid for Manchester United being able to spend more on players, which is ultimately what we all want. All of this contributes to that. All of it. It's not going to contribute to the Glazers getting a bigger dividend because they are legally not allowed to get any dividends for 3 years. That's been banned by INEOS and Ratcliffe. All of this goes towards that. Alex, you put it down there in the comments, and this is a big, big thing. And I completely agree with you. You're saying using that logic, then top earners like Casemiro and Sancho and Maguire, are they more likely to be sold? I would absolutely say that. It's going to be about... It depends how much they really just focus and dive into the numbers. Because if they do, and they look at the return on investment on a player like Sancho, or the return on investment on a player like Casemiro or Varane, and they look at the wages of them, then they're going to question it. Now, Marcus Rashford will probably be part of that conversation as well. Ever so slightly different. Casemiro and Varane, both over 30. How old's Maguire now? Pretty old, isn't he? Rashford's a little bit different in that sense. Rashford actually has a real, genuine sale value, whereas Maguire does to a certain degree, but it won't be mega money. Scott McTominay hardly is on any wages whatsoever. If he would be happy if Scott McTominay would be happy with a squad position at Manchester United next season, I wouldn't sell him because he won't command huge wages. He'll give everything when he comes off the bench, and as long as he stays, that's why use him correctly off the bench. I still think he's a good asset to the team. But I still like what I'm seeing with everything that INEOS and Ratcliffe are doing. And whether or not they see, or whether or not they look at Erik Ten Hag and they are positive, and they also have no doubts that he'll be here next season, it still feels like this story isn't done. It still feels like this story isn't written. I can't say with complete confidence either way that Ten Hag will be our manager next season. I wobbled the most after Chelsea. That was when I really wobbled the most. And as I said, that's because I felt that that's when top four really left just left the building. I don't think we're getting, not top four, but Champions League. I don't think we're getting Champions League football next year. If you rip up and start again, where do you start? See, Graham Potter's been linked with a role. I think he was linked with the Ajax job. He's not getting that anymore. We don't need to. I've tried to avoid getting too in depth on any conversation about any potential new manager yet, because I just don't think it's the time and the place for it. But Ten Hag has no doubts that he will be here next season. I think lots of you would. And I think the doubts will be fair. Roy Keane wasn't particularly happy that Ten Hag was positive after the game. But as I said, in a season where we've been so atrocious, for Man United to get 4 points off Liverpool in their title push, to draw against them this week, despite being awful, to beat them and knock them out of the FA Cup, despite being awful, I'm taking those little small wins. And even in a week where we've dropped 7 points. Lost 3, 4, 5. Even in a week where we've dropped 7 points from winning positions, and Erik Ten Hag was already under pressure going into the Brentford game, there are still some positives to take. It just depends where you want to focus, and I understand that. I'm not saying the fan base is split. That'll be the wrong way to describe it. But opinions on Erik Ten Hag are certainly mixed. And I reckon they must be in INEOS as well. Or maybe they've already made their decision. I suppose we're just guessing at this point. But look, at the very least, we took 2 points off Liverpool yesterday. I wonder what I'm going to do for my lunchtime video today. Not sure. Suggestions, throw them into Discord. If you haven't joined Discord, make sure you do. It's free and it's there for the members as our community, away from just the live shows. Loads and loads of you in there. It's free. Come and join in. Big up to everyone for tuning in. Thank you all for today. I enjoyed the moments yesterday. I didn't enjoy the game overall. At some point, things will change. But I think the chaos is here to stay until the end of the season. Whether it works out or not, I suppose we'll see. Take it easy, everyone.